Hey guys, it is Monday night, and I want to talk a little bit about my improvement journey and kind of the ups and downs that I've gone along, and some of the assumptions that I've made and challenged along the way, just as a couple ideas for today. So, thinking back, I've been interested in learning and knowledge, the pursuit of knowledge, pretty much my whole life, I guess. And not to sound like not to just sell that story, but I just remember one of the things that my dad used to tell people is that I would be so interested in reading everything I could get my hands on that I'd like read the entire cereal box, like the ingredients and everything, the nutritional value, like every aspect of the box, all sides of it, and every aspect of it. And that just kind of continued on. And I would say like I was good in school, but like the reasons for that were probably uh, mostly a lack of self-validation or confidence, like insecurity and being found out to not be enough, I think, really honestly. And I think didn't think very much I didn't really have a high level of confidence with a lot of success in high school, but going to U of I, and I ended up in an honors college math program. Uh, Went into engineering, just really strong in math and science, math and physics. And when I got there, kind of just studied alone in this advanced mathematics class when everybody else was kind of breaking up into groups. And I guess that just wasn't my style. Making new friends. I had friends in college, maintained those friendships right off into high school, or I had friends in high school, maintain those friendships right off into college, and still till today, still have those friendships. But in that class, got to that first exam and kind of just nervous as all shit that I was going to be found out, like, and I shouldn't be there. And I remember getting the results back, and there's a lot of disappointed people that worked in all these groups, and yet, like, I got a really good score. Like, I can't specifically remember the score, but I remember, like, it all kind of got put into perspective that whatever I had thought was just my own internal assumptions and kind of misinterpretations of the world and my place in it. And so went through school, not necessarily the most ambitious at that point because it's just college is about beating the curve. And I was a really good test taker. Apparently, I don't have a lot of nerves, or I perform well under pressure, one or the other. I would say I do have nerves, and somehow I'm able to harness them and use them productively, or get into a flow state or a zone, and it doesn't matter that much. But graduated in 2010. Fast forward, always like looking for something new. Had a bunch of different hobbies all the way, and I would say I fast forward to 2017. But in that time, just pursuing a lot of different books, pursuing a lot of different interests, pursuing a lot of different hobbies, trying everything I could get my hands on almost, or everything that I was interested in. I would say there was a subset of things that I didn't want to try just because of insecurity and potential embarrassment and stuff like that. But in 2017, maybe 2016 technically, I decided I was going to do a triathlon. And I signed up for the Chicago Triathlon, which is an Olympic distance triathlon. And pretty much coming off the couch, if I remember correctly. I had done 5Ks. I did a couple mud runs back then. I'm sure I did 5Ks maybe once or twice a year. Just little stuff that never really stuck. And I remember wanting to do the triathlon because it sounded kind of crazy and like something that I could just show that if you want to do something, you can go do it. I don't know if that was for me as much as I felt like it was going to be for other people, but I think really deep down it was probably for me. And so I spent probably 30 weeks, 32 weeks maybe. I wonder if I did two 16-week cycles, or two 16-week cycles. I might have done a 12 and then a 16-week cycle. And ultimately did a sprint distance triathlon. I think it was up in Whitewater, Wisconsin. Swam in the pool. Swimming is definitely my weakest part. And then ultimately got to the Chicago Tri in August of 2017. and long time ago now, pretty much almost 7 years. But I remember open water swimming. I think I did 1 or 2 practice sessions open water, and they were not enough. Open water swimming in Lake Michigan, and the water's choppy as hell. I have a picture when I came out, just miserable. Probably just the least happy individual that could ever be. I mean, to be fair, like I was pretty pumped that I made it out and made it through the swim session. It was a very long swim. I think it was like a 53-minute mile swim, or maybe it was an hour. I don't remember. I was not fast. Front crawl got thrown out pretty quickly. So side stroke and breaststroke, which I never did the breaststroke in training. Just basically side stroke. Just try to survive, ultimately. I remember after I got out and after I ultimately finished the race, like some of the people that were there, they told me that a bunch of people just swam to the sides, like they quit immediately. So I feel pretty good about putting that in back then. Just either the resolve that I had then, or sometimes I think that my courage is actually just stupidity in disguise. So, but ultimately I was the bottom third swimming, top third cycling, bottom third running. So cycling is definitely my jam. I still think about doing that year by year. And as I get through Spartans, or as I evolve in my journey, there is a southeast gravel cycling, or gravel cycling in general might be a phase that I have upcoming, just as a challenge and something different from what I do today. I do love cycling, really, at the end of it all. But yeah, I would say that was definitely a big deal for me. I signed up for the next year, but then I didn't commit to it. I think my goals and my follow through and what I was after at that time was kind of achieved by doing the first one. And then ultimately kind of just slowed down from the fitness perspective. Went through COVID, was a lazy pile of shit, and went through a period of not exercising, not taking care of myself at all until a couple of years ago. Probably about 2022, early in 2022, got back into lifting and eventually started walking, eventually started running, signed up for Spartans last year in 2023. And after doing the first one, I was kind of hooked, so I signed up for a sprint, and then I made the commitment that I was going to complete a trifecta, which is one of every distance, one of a 5K, a 10K, and a 21K. They're 3 main distances. So I got that completed last year, and towards the end of that, signed up for an annual pass for this year. So looking out, and after the race the other day, I just feel super amped again. Like right after you finish a race, you feel motivated that you're like, man, I want to do better. Or I feel motivated, and I was like, well, I want to do better. I want to focus my training in. I want to just keep going. I mean, the minor improvement potentially looking at it, I mean, minor or major, this is a different race than the other 10K I did, but just being in a better percentile. I know that I'm getting faster. I felt stronger and I felt faster. And I think that feeling is going to be kind of addictive to kind of chase that, to be even faster and stronger. My strength through some of the obstacles was much better. Like the grip strength that I built through climbing, the upper body strength that I have through climbing made me much more confident, much more able, much more capable. And like to think like I could probably go through and not fail some obstacles with just a little bit more practice and really start to crush these races a little bit. Obstacle failure is not the biggest thing. I mean, it definitely need to get just better and better and better at running. Still got a lot of work to do there, but it's exciting. And so looking out through the rest of the race season, looking at the forefront, there's a June race in Cincinnati that I might sign up for, 1 or 2 races, I might do both the super and the sprint. There's a race in Michigan in July. I wanted to do the Utah race in July. Those are a week apart, so there'd be a lot of flying and a lot of traveling, but I'm thinking about I know I want to pull the trigger on Utah. I should just book that. Then August would be Asheville. So like really packing it in through summer here. I'm definitely going to try to do Asheville again. I think if I recall correctly, West Virginia's in August. Then September would be Vermont. October would be Nashville. November is the Carolinas again. And then probably ring one in December in Central Florida. So there'd definitely be a couple trips in there. but kind of chasing this idea of really structuring a race season and really trying to push the envelope here and see what I'm able to do this year in terms of improvement, and potentially even just carry it over yet again into another year. They are an interesting challenge. They're exciting. They are fun. I remember the amount of misery I kind of felt through parts of the beast, probably starting around mile 10 or 11, so with 3 to 4 miles to go. But the part of it and the underlying enjoyment of it is truthfully just this idea of raising your bar for what hard is, and how it puts a lot of things in your life in perspective. When you raise that bar, all the things around you that might be overwhelming or stressing you out or causing you anxiety, they get put into a different perspective. They become less of a big deal. They become more manageable, and you can face them a little bit more readily. And this is kind of a really sick and twisted idea of fun, but raising that bar for what hard looks like is a really valuable thing in my experience. Coming from a person that struggled with seasonal depression back in Illinois and has struggled with anxiety and struggled with feeling overwhelmed at times and kind of cracking here and there, I've been the strongest I've ever been in pretty much every regard. So I think go find and do uncomfortable things and embrace some discomfort and raise your bar for what hard feels like, and attack some of your stressors head on and the things that are causing you anxiety. Resolve those issues. It's oftentimes actions that we know we need to take that we're not, that cause stress and anxiety. Conversations we know we need to have and we're not. Places that we shouldn't be that we know we need to get out of. So take action, find your thing, and lean into it. Well wishes on your improvement journey, and hope you stick around. So, have a great night.